Do you find it frustrating being like, well, it's so obvious, yet it's so difficult to do because our lives aren't actually set up for that? Our lives aren't set up to get that much sleep, to get that much fresh air, to have all of these things.
Yeah, well, our lives here, I don't know where you're based, Emily, but here in London, absolutely not. But if we look, and I think a lot of people that are kind of wanting to kind of improve their health a lot of the time, they're looking to live longer and live well for longer. And actually what the research shows us is when we look at the people that are living the best for as long as possible, in these blue zones, their lives and their society is set up for these pillars, community and eating well and sleeping and moving your body. We just now live in a we've created a society that does not serve us as humans, and now we're trying to do all this biohacking and reversing so much of kind of the issues that we now face, but actually they're sort of man-made out there for us, because as humans we evolved, to be outside, to be moving, to be living a little bit closer to nature, for lack of a better phrase. And we've completely constructed an environment now that isn't conducive to that. So we're now looking for all this biohacking, etc. When actually maybe the answers are back, like looking backwards a bit, and how maybe we've got it a little bit wrong.
Yeah, it's very interesting kind of examining it, I guess, from that objective view, because, if someone's offering you, well, you can plug yourself into a drip and that'll do the same thing as getting 10 hours sleep. Maybe someone's like, well, I've got the money to pay for it, but I don't have the time to have that. So you can see how it is really difficult and it's really hard to manage. But what's this got to do with the gut? How does
Oh
how
yeah.
does this link in?
So if we look at even this idea of how we evolved as humans, being outside in nature. So we as humans, so let's explain what the gut is when people think about the gut, because it is kind of like the latest fad in nutrition, and I've been a nutritionist now for well over a decade. I've seen the diet fads come and go. I'm sick of them, and gut health is kind of the new kid on the block, but I'd argue it's not so much a fad. It's absolutely grounded in science, and it's not going to be a fad because I think it's here to stay for sure this time round, Emily. But when I say the gut to you, like, what do you think? You probably point to your stomach, and people say, like, I've got a bit of a gut on me these days, and it's that kind of area. But actually your gut is everything from your mouth all the way through to the exit at the other end. It's this about 9 meters long tube. So if we put that into context, that's the same length as like two giraffes are tall. It's absolutely massive. And okay, nothing too exciting there. We've known the gut digests our food, but why is everyone so fascinated with it now? And why kind of this hold up with kind of like evolution and how we're living, and why is the gut at the center of it? Well, it's not so much the function of the gut, but it's who's living in our gut. So you might have heard of the gut microbiome, and that refers to these trillions and trillions of microbes, so things like bacteria, yeasts, viruses, that are living throughout that 9 meters long tract. And as humans, actually, we never existed without these bacteria living inside of us. So we actually evolved on a microbial planet. So the bacteria was here long before we were. We're the invaders, not us. I mean, we're the invaders, not them. And what happened as we evolved as humans and our immune system developed is that we co-evolved with these bacteria. And so for me, it's quite funny that this relationship between us and the bacteria living inside of us is a story that's been there since the beginning of time. Yet we're only now just copying on, being like, hold on a minute, could these bacteria actually be doing something for our health? And the latest research is saying, yes, they could actually hold the key to unlock so many of the health concerns that we experience today. But the thing is, there's this idea that we've kind of got this old friends hypothesis where in the environment that we now live in, we're not being exposed to the bacteria that we would have back then. And so we're kind of losing touch with the bacteria that really trained our immune system to begin with. And that's why maybe we're getting more allergies, more autoimmune diseases than ever before.
So why are we
Sorry, that
losing?
was a lot of information.
Oh, it's fascinating, and I love how you're just like, okay, let's break it down from the start. Let's get
Yeah.
it out in the open. So why are we losing touch? What's changed in terms of what are
So
we not getting?
sure. Well, we used to be in nature, and as our ancestors were constantly outside. 99% of the time they were outside. And we now see that in sort of like tribal communities around the world, they have bacteria that us in the Western world have never seen. So we are seem to be losing touch with certain bacteria for sure.
And I'm interested in, you kind of alluded to the research that suggests that actually, hold on, this could help us. This could help a lot of the existing, whether you would call them illnesses or conditions or anything that's
Yeah.
going on. Can you give me a bit more information on that? I want to know more.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So our bacteria in our gut, and I said microbes, but the majority of the time I'm talking about bacteria. And when I say bacteria, everyone always thinks, that's a bad thing. That's what makes us poorly. But actually, what we call the commensal or the good bacteria in our gut, they are chatty little things. They're chattier than you and I, Emily. You know, I know we could probably go for hours on this one, but these guys as well living inside of us, they're talking to almost every system and organ in the body, everything from our immune system, our brain, our skin, our lungs, our thyroid, you know, the list goes on and on. But the one I really want to hone in on is maybe the immune system to begin with. So 70% of your immune cells actually sit within the gut. And it's your gut bacteria that train your immune system. So often we just think our immune system kind of just kicks in when we've got cold or flu or something like that. But it's constantly working in the background. And it's your gut bacteria that is really the powerhouse for that. So what your gut bacteria does is from birth, it's kind of like the teacher, right? And the bacteria are the pupils in the class. And your gut bacteria will train your immune system to know what to attack and what not to. So say if you eat some food and then a protein in the food goes into your gut bacteria are going to tell your immune cells, leave that alone. You know, that's completely harmless. It's an innocent bystander. But then say a virus comes in, the gut bacteria being the teacher is going to tell your immune cells, hey, listen up, that's a real culprit. We need to attack that. And if that communication is there, you know, we've got kind of like a good, diverse gut bacteria living inside of us, your immune system is going to function well. However, if that communication between your gut bacteria and your immune cells starts to break down, that's when we could see some issues. So say, for example, the protein comes in from simply a food and your immune cells don't listen to the teacher, being the gut bacteria, and they start attacking that protein in the food. That's when you might have, say, an allergic response, an inflammatory response to a food, and where allergies can start developing. Likewise, if they don't listen and they don't attack the virus, that's again when we maybe get a cold or flu. So that's just one of the instances where our gut bacteria has a really key impact on our immune system and therefore kind of like our overall health. But there's a number of instances now where we see that an imbalance in the gut bacteria so say we have more bad bacteria, things that are pro-inflammatory, have the potential to harm us compared to the good bacteria in our gut. We see that in individuals with even obesity, depression, different gut disorders, colon cancer, they have this kind of imbalance in the gut. So we do see that individuals with certain conditions there could be a role whereby the gut bacteria is impacting the development of these diseases. And that could be through the immune system, but other ways as well.